But it's something called the RAINS Act. RAINS is an acronym. The bill was introduced by Jeff Davis, Republican member from Kentucky, that would basically say that any rule or regulations that is put forth before it can go into effect, if it has a cost to the economy, a potential cost of over $100 million, then Congress will have to approve it before it will go into effect. So we are working hard. We've passed something like 30 bills, Lewis, that have gone to the Senate, and they're just stacking up on Harry Reid's desk like cordwood. But you know, we have stopped a lot of bad things from happening. We'll continue to try to do that. I know there were a couple of other questions, and we'll get to that.
Joan?
Yeah, I have a question regarding the raising the debt ceiling, and I understand we're going to raise that again. And is there any reason, or has there been any discussion where we could not necessarily raise the debt ceiling, but we could flat across the board on every government agency, department, whatever, lower whatever it is within that department or agency by 5% or 10%, so everybody gets a little bit of hit and everybody takes a little bit of it instead of the military taking a huge hit? I'm just concerned that maybe a little bit of cutback from everybody might equate to what kind of dollars and cents would that equate to? I don't know. I'm just concerned that maybe some of that might help.
Well, look, it's a very good point. You know, across the board cuts have been. I've probably voted for every amendment that's been proffered over the 9 years that I've served. When the appropriations bills or conference report, I'm sorry, on a conference report you can amend. That's an up or down vote. But when the appropriations bills come before the House of Representatives, there are generally several amendments to cut across the board. 1%, 2%, 5%. You can check it, but I think in every instance I've voted for those across the board cuts. You do have to be a little careful about that. I have a good friend, though, that is proposing a penny cut. What does Bruce Cook call that? It's something that I think over a hopefully a 6 to 8 year period of time would lead to a balanced budget. Now, in regard to increasing the debt ceiling, as you know, that agreement that was reached it was that if the super committee could not come up with $1.2 trillion in offsets to increasing the debt ceiling, that the default position would be this thing called sequester, and the $1.2 trillion offsets would have to come 50% from the Department of Defense. And that is the situation that we're in now. The super committee failed to come up with the cuts, failed to agree. And now we're looking at a $600 billion cut to the Department of Defense on top of what the Obama administration and Leon Panetta have already called for, some $435 billion. So over $1 trillion cut to the Department of Defense. Now you just think about that. What's going to happen, and I'm not, it's parochial issues are not the most important. Economic issues are hugely important. They're not the most important, though. The protection of the country, the very first principle, the very first article of the Constitution in regard to providing for the national defense. Any of these generals and chiefs of staffs of the respective branches and the joint chiefs, in an honest moment, they will tell you that this is hollowing out the military and could be a disastrous thing. In regard to our own economy right here in the 11th Congressional District, you look what's already happened in the last iteration of BRAC in regard to the Naval Air Station in Cobb County, in regard to a Marine facility in Floyd County, and what happened to the F-22 Raptor program, stopping at 195 planes when the Air Force said clearly they needed at least 300. And now the Department of Defense very likely cutting our military's purchase of the F-35 where the center wing box course is done in Marietta at the Lockheed's branch in Marietta. And in the aggregate, there are 8,000 jobs there, probably 1,500 in regard to that particular flight line. Thank goodness there was a little encouraging news in regard to foreign purchases of an iteration of the F-35, whether it's Japan or some of these other countries that are part of the consortium that have gone into building of the F-35. If that program fails, then believe you me, and as I know you know, that Russia and China already have their version, this 5th generation fighter, that may be even more sophisticated than the F-35. So it's hugely important that we don't gut the military.
So did Boehner actually believe that this super stupid committee was going to come to any kind of agreement on it? I mean, why did he agree to that?
Well, I think that he did believe that. I think that he felt that the sequester was so disastrous that the super committee and the people that were named on the House side, the Republicans, the people that were named on the Senate side, the Republicans, were the best minds that we had in regard